sow a thought or have a thought, you'll reap an action. You do that action, eventually it'll be a habit. You do that habit for a while, eventually it's going to be your character. You sow that character for a while, and it's going to end up being what your life is. All right. I'm going to talk about the realm of feelings and how we're going to deal with the root of it, so you can finally start seeing success in any area or any endeavor that you are trying to accomplish in life. Whether it's marriage, whether it's business, it's all the same stuff. Because there are some people that succeed in a big way, and there are multitudes that can't even get out of their own heads. If that is you, stick with me to the end. This is probably going to be one of the most important videos you watch all year. Here's why. When you were talking about feelings, okay, thoughts come, all right? Whether they're conditional, whether they're environmental, or it's even spiritual. And that's a big one. That may even be a whole nother video. A lot of it is conditioning. People will say things like, I just don't feel like, right? And when you start off a sentence with, I don't feel like, you can add that to your relationships. You can add that to your business. You can add that if you're an athlete. You can add that if you're in the medical field. You can add that if you're into, doesn't matter what it is. If you don't feel, again, we're not even talking about where that feeling's coming from yet. If you don't feel like something is going to work out, or that there's anybody that's going to listen, or that there's anybody that wants what you have to offer, or that you just don't feel like it ever really works out, or if you feel like if it works out, it doesn't really last, so even if it does work out, it's going to be short-lived. Or if you feel like anything you put your feet to, or your feet on, or your hands to is going to succeed, wherever a person lies in that spectrum is exactly what they're going to experience. We're not talking mind over matter here, okay? Because there's an entire, let me just hear me to the end. You wake up in the morning, the first thought that comes to your mind, and we see this all the time. People wake up in the morning, first thought that comes to their mind, what is it? Is it thoughts of defeat? Is it thoughts of, oh gosh, here we go again, here's another day? Is it thoughts of, oh, I don't feel good, I need more sleep? Is it thoughts of, oh, what am I going to do with my day? And you immediately grab your cell phone and start scrolling on it, and now you're imprinting what the world is doing, right, in these little snippets into your mind, and then you're comparing, well, they seem to be living better than I am. They seem to be prettier than I am. They seem to be more handsome than I am. They seem to have more success than I do. Oh, I've always wanted that. And immediately we start to create this whole prison where you can't even move now, because you're now creating a paralysis, either from the thoughts that you've meditated on, because if you think thoughts enough, you get feelings. When those feelings kick in, that's how you act. When you act, that's how you build a character, if you do it enough. And if that character is developed that long, it'll become the destiny of your life. Many people will grab that cell phone, and they will grab it, and then immediately it begins this comparison life. You're comparing yourself to others. You're comparing what they have, what they look like, what you need, what you don't have, what you miss, what you sure wish you could do. And sometimes it's just matter of fact like that. Sometimes it can be a lustful thing. Sometimes it can be a jealousy thing. And what happens is you start to encapsulate your day. The last thing on earth you need to do is wake up in the morning and grab your phone. Last thing, and start to scroll and look. So, number one, if you are doing that, you're already setting the groundwork up for yourself to fail every single day, no matter what it is, whether it's relational or in business or in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. We've got to understand that. Number one, get no devices in your hands. Okay? What I do, I wake up in the morning, walk the dog, right? First thing, get my coffee, and I go and I do a personal Bible study. Sometimes it takes an hour. Sometimes I'm there for 2.5 hours. Now, somebody would say, well, I don't have that kind of liberty. Yeah, but I've designed my life on purpose so I can do that, because that is how I lay a foundation for my life. I don't know how you lay a foundation for yours, but that's what I do for me, and it's changed everything. And it continues to increase the level of change and the profoundness of that change. So that's what I do. But then once I have laid a foundation, then if I'm going to start doing work or start having conversations with my wife or the kids, I've already laid the groundwork. Some people just need to get up in the morning and get out of the house and go take a walk. You need to go take a walk and just breathe outside. Don't put input into your mind or your life. I'm telling you guys, I mean, and you talk about people that are basically 40 and under, the statistics are staggering. They're the most unhappy, and under that, there's a million reasons why. It's because their entire life, so many times they've been trained out of the womb to become digitally stimulated. Everything is flashpoints of thought. And don't you tell me that there is not stuff out there that designs that on purpose in order to paralyze people. It's the way it's always been through history. Now we just have a digital means to do it. Okay? Now, you start off your day like that, you're done. So take a walk, have a Bible study, have a quiet time, have a conversation with your spouse, but start your day off that way. Get off the devices, and do not get up in the morning and rush to work. Because if you do that, you're not even awake yet. You're throwing your clothes on, you're getting to work, you're dealing with traffic. So you start off from the very first thoughts of your day in stress. And when you start off with stress, everything reacts the rest of the day like that. I'm telling you guys, this is how you fix stuff. You wonder why your life is a disaster. Or golly, look how great their life is. A lot of it has to do with turning off and saying no to things. A lot of the victory in your life is going to come from what not to do and how to prepare and how to design your life in a way that gives you the capacity to just think your own thoughts and not worry about what the world is saying and what you think about the world and what the world thinks about you, etc. Okay, I hope this is making sense. Stick with me, there's more. So, because feelings, the big trick is that when you think thoughts, you think that it's you. But I'll tell you what, some of that stuff comes from spiritual things. A lot of it comes from what you meditate on. A lot of it comes from what you look at. A lot of it comes on the displeasures of life because you have not turned off the noise so that you can actually rediscover you. Most people have no concept who they are. They don't know where they're going. They're only doing the 10 or 20 things that are on the list that's given to the entire society, and they're running like mad to get it done. And they wonder how, no matter how many cars, houses, money, relationships, it doesn't matter what they try, what they do, what level of deviancy, what level of creative ways to numb and satisfy their minds, because it never produces anything. So when it comes to feelings, the big trick is you think it's you. You're having the feelings, you're thinking thoughts, you think it's you. If you can identify that all you have done is you have accumulated for a period of time thoughts, you've looked at stuff, you've meditated on, and you've presented only certain things into your life, now suddenly it's creating almost like a stronghold and you can't shake it. Most people are steered. They're steered because what they feed on. There's an old story years ago, out west, they would have dog fights, right? And this cowboy comes up to the guy that was in charge of it, and there was a black dog, a white dog, and a gray dog. Okay? And any time there was this group of guys that whatever they bet on, it was their dogs. Everybody would bring their animals. I know it's a terrible analogy, but just hear me. Everybody would bring their animals. They would have their dog fights. And it was almost uncanny how they could figure out who would win. So finally, this story goes, the cowboy asked, he goes, I need to know something. I've been coming to this for weeks. If you bet on the white dog, it wins. If you bet on the black dog, it wins. If you bet on the gray dog, it wins. You could bet on the gray dog 3 or 4 times and then suddenly switch to the white dog. I need to know, and this would happen day after day, I need to know, how are you doing this? What's going on? And the guys that owned the pets said, it's real easy. We just bet on the one that we feed. Because you see, guys, the dog you feed is going to be the one that wins. The one you starve is not going to win. You have got to starve out the input that has been programming you. Everybody comes into this world fresh, like a sponge. Parents, home life, environment, violation, experience, what they're around, worldview, everything programs them, steers them. And then one day they wake up at 17 or 18 and they act as though that they created the thoughts they have and that they're in charge of their life and they're all knowing, when the truth is they've been programmed at best. Rare few people get to design their lives on purpose. Okay? That's a saying that Holly and I have had for years, is design your life on purpose so you never have to miss a moment. So if you're in business and you're not accomplishing what you want to accomplish and you're creating huge amounts of frustration, okay, fine. Let's write that down. Got it. What is it about? What is actually frustrating you? And somebody will say, well, I just don't feel. And then you go, okay, you identify the feeling and you go, okay. And that feeling is coming from them feeding something that's reiterating that feeling. So when they can't succeed in that whole realm that they're working on, it's because of what they're feeding, that it's working in direct and contrary direct to what they're trying to accomplish. Relationships, right? Okay, I just don't feel like I can have a successful relationship. Okay, great. What type of individual are you choosing? Usually, it's pretty predictable. So you have that. All right, great. Now, why do you choose that kind of person? Was that your first experience in relationships? Is this what you feel like you deserve? And it all goes back to feelings, feelings, feelings. And what you find is most people don't feel like they deserve anything better because they don't feel that they're worthy. When you really dig into it, people say, what are you talking about? And they want to buck up and fight and say, oh, that's not true. But they don't, because people will go after what they see. And if you have gone after in relationships what you see or what you've experienced or a pattern or a lot of people are stuck in a relationship or in a vein of relationships specifically because of violation. That's what started their physical experience with people. And so it plants a seed, and they consistently go after that because that was where it began. Guys, I'm telling you, you want to succeed in life? Find out what in the world is causing these patterns and what the feelings are. And you can start to take the whole thing apart and quickly go, aha, it all started there. You can kill the root, and then you can change the direction of your life. You look at the fruit of your life and, oh my gosh, it's not this or it's not that, or it's all I have is this or all I have is that. It's because those were the seeds that were planted. 100% of the time. You reap what you sow. You reap what is sown into you. You reap what is sown environmentally. You reap what is sown in your eyes. You reap what is sown through social media. You reap what is sown upon how much you either think you deserve, because there are people that say, you know what, anything I touch is gold. Only the best for me. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. Come on. Some of you understand exactly what I just said. And they don't settle for anything less because they know who they are. Their identity has been changed because of what they've put in. There are other people like, oh, I always get this. I only deserve that. This is all I'm worth. And they get exactly that. They're always the beneath. They're always the bottom. They always get the scraps. I see it in business. So I see this with entrepreneurs all the time. Entrepreneurs will say, Gabriel, I just can't get my business going. I just can't get my business going. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to everybody's in it or whatever they're saying. There's always some reason. I say, okay. Well, and I say, tell me more. And they say, well, it just feels like it always goes back to feelings. I just feel like, okay, well, first of all, those feelings are not a reality. They've become a reality to you because the thoughts have turned into those emotions, and those emotions and thoughts have become actions, and those actions have now become habits, and you better kill that thing before it ever becomes a character or your destiny. Even biblically, take every thought captive under the obedience. Take every thought captive that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Think about that. Take every thought captive that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. What does that scripture mean? It means anything that comes in life that is contrary to the truth that God has already established, you better kill it, because it's not true. Ultimately, it's not true. Eternally, it's not true. And what he said stands, and everything else. That's why scripture says, let every man be a liar and God be the truth. You better find out what the truth is, and you better find out what God said. That was free. I mean it. Because that's how you renew your mind. And when you know what the truth is, the truth that you know, apprehend, sets you free. People hear all the time, well, the truth will set you free. No, it doesn't. It's the truth that you know, apprehend, and embrace, and reprogram the mind. You have to renew the mind. Another verse. The only way you can renew your mind is by the washing of the water of the word. Say what you will on this video, but nothing that is given to people, there is no other resource other than the word to transform the mind, because the word is all about God's nature, who he is, what he says about us, our true value, and how we are to be conquerors and dominate in life. That's all it is. Super overly simplified. Now let's talk about feelings some more. So we see it with entrepreneurs, we see it with relationships all the time. So let me ask you a question. What is your predominant feeling? I'm not succeeding. Why? I just can't seem to get ahead. Okay. Why do you say that? Why does it feel like that? And they'll usually tell you it was an experience. I hear this, another one I hear very often, because I'm sharing this both on a team page of a group that I work with closely, and I have been for 15 years. I'm also sharing this on YouTube and all the other social media. So some of you are going to hear it from different areas. But I talk to entrepreneurs that work with us, and they'll say, I just can't seem to get my business to grow. Why? It doesn't feel like anybody wants to hear it. Well, that's not true, because there's very, very, very successful people. And evidently somebody wanted to hear it. So the feeling that nobody wants to hear it isn't true. Or people will say, well, I feels like everybody is doing it. Well, that's not true. Saturation is a myth. No matter where you go, everybody in the world has a cell phone, and yet they sell hundreds of millions of cell phones a year. Everybody's got a washer. Not everybody, because some of you are watching from around the world and you don't have these things. But in America, everybody's got a washer and dryer for the most part, yet they sell tens of hundreds of millions. I mean, it's crazy. Everybody has a refrigerator, yet they sell them every year. Everybody has cars, but they sell them every year. Everybody has shoes. So this whole idea of everybody has it doesn't matter, because there's an influx of people coming and going, living and dying, being born, changing careers, changing. So there's always an influx. But if you have tunnel vision and you're only talking to 3 people, and you are only talking to the 5 people in your sphere, and only the folks on your street, and your 5 broke best friends, and your mom and your dad, and the other 5 people that you take stock in their opinions, and they don't openly celebrate what you're trying to do, game over. You'll now snapshot that as the worldview. So it's not true that everybody's doing it. Or it's all not true. We have to remove ourselves from that which has programmed us, because you feed from all of that. Just like the dog's analogy. You feed from it. You're feeding from it. All right? It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. I'll say it again. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. And you better take thoughts captive. Make sure they're the right thoughts. And if they're not, renew your mind on the right thoughts so that you can have the right actions, so you can have the right habits, so you can develop the right character, so that your life can change directions. And it all starts with thoughts. But it all happens in feelings. The other, like I said, the tricky part about this is thoughts and feelings. We are deceived to believe that what you think and how you feel is you. No. It's the accumulation that has now built a stronghold in your mind, and now it's how you operate, and you can't discern the difference between those thoughts and feelings and who you are. No, you just have to change the thoughts and the input. The feelings will come, the actions will change, the habits will change, your character will change, how you see yourself will change, and the direction of your life changes. I know I keep saying this, but we've got to see this for what it is. The paralysis. I was having a conversation the other day, and I was asking this person, I said, so what's keeping you, I don't want to be too specific, what's keeping you from doing what you know you're supposed to do, what you do innately, what you do almost effortlessly, what you do so well that on your worst day, even people that are trained on their best day can't do it as good as you, because it's who you are. It's your gift, right? Well, it just feels like, okay, and we started off that conversation, it just feels like, and it ended up being the opinions of others. The opinions of others were so terrifying to this person that they thought that that is how everybody perceived them. So this false reality of feelings caused them to be paralyzed, though they long to with all their heart. So let me ask you a question. Are you longing for your relationship, your business to grow, something to change, anything, your goal, whatever? I don't care what sphere you're in, it's the same. Are you longing for it? Do you think about it? Do you want it so badly? But the fear of man, the perceived opinions of people. I'll tell you another thing. If you think people... Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video. Here are some ways you can actually support the channel. Check out the links in the description, and we always give a portion of what comes in to those that are in need. Thank you so very much again. Back to the video. Care or are thinking about you all the time, you are very mistaken. Completely and totally mistaken. People are too busy in their own self-created prisons half the time, trying to just get free of their thought life. There's nothing more magnificent than seeing somebody that's free in their thought life to be creative, expressive, share their heart, not caring about the opinions of people, unbridled, fearless action, and they're just free. It's absolutely magnificent, and it's so incredibly rare that the people that capture that end up winning no matter what they touch in life. The reason you're not seeing success is because it doesn't feel. And those thoughts have now controlled you, and it's shackled you, and there's inaction. I've talked to everybody about what it is. I know business people, right, that are very successful in the healthcare industry, that travel all over the world. I mean, and make a ton of money. I hear it from them, though. And the reason they've plateaued, even if you've had success, you can plateau, and there's a paralysis level there. I just feel like I don't have anything new to share with anybody. Okay. And that's why they're not listening. No, you just don't feel like you have anything new to share. So you're choosing to believe that you have nothing new to share. So you're not talking to anybody. And so your business isn't growing. And then you're hanging on to dear life to the customers that you do have. And as life changes and people do stuff like this, you're seeing a slow draining of the tub. And now you get more panicked, and then it amplifies the feelings. And then you react to try to make up for the deficiencies, and then you're walking off balance when you're doing that, and then you're settling for tactics and salesmanship and pitches and subtle manipulations in order to keep and gather, and you overpromise. Guys, none of this stuff is mysterious. Every major struggle that I've had in my life, all was because of how it felt. I've even had real legitimate attacks and antagonisms from people, completely unjustified. Even ones that were covering other people's, they're trying to cover themselves for what they did. Bad. And you always have a choice. What they did, am I going to let it steal from me? Am I going to let this be the thing that steals from me in my life? Here's this person that does X. Great. They did it to me. Fine. Now I have to deal with it. Now, am I going to spend the next 6 months meditating on it and being consumed with it? See, here's the thing, guys. If you're not grounded in what I'm talking about, all it takes is one problem a month, an issue of the week, 4 major problems a year, and your days are sucked up and consumed, and you're never present. You never get to discover who you are in life. You never get to find out what God's called you to do. You're only busy digging the poop that has piled up whenever something comes to you. And if you are the ground in which that seed can come and take root, now you have a bigger problem, because now you'll be partner with it. because you've been a habitation for those thoughts or those actions to burrow themselves in you. And now, I mean, think about how expensive that is. Somebody says something, does something, you feel a certain way, you think a certain thing, and you're literally just being siphoned. You're having your life siphoned from you. And I see it all the time. Gabriel, I've been in my business for 5 years, and I can't see any growth. We ask these questions. Why do you think that is? What's the predominant thought? Well, it just feels like, and we go right back to that. And it's because they have taken a snapshot of something, or they meditated on something, or they listened to something that created all of those feelings and emotions, and now it's turned into actions, and now it's turned into years. Same with the relationship. Same with business. Doesn't matter. I mean, guys, I'll say it again. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Take every thought captive under the obedience. And take every thought captive that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. You need to pull up that verse. It's very powerful, because the war in this world is about, who did God say you are? What has he called you to do? What's the magnificent levels that you can accomplish on this earth once your head and your thinking is right? Or what a magnificent statistic you are, and how just like the masses are just dropping off the cliff, they're marching along and dropping off the cliff because they don't think they can, they don't think they're worthy, they've been convinced, they've been lied to, they've been brainwashed, they've been told they're not enough. And then along that journey before you fall off the cliff, everybody's just using each other and trying to consume each other through all the variable things that they do in order to bring some kind of satisfaction. And many times they do it in an extremely hyper way, because the level of misery is so profound. Why? Because they've thought, again, the thoughts turn to the feelings. And remember, when thoughts come, let me just tell you something. The 91st Psalm, when you're talking about even in Ephesians, there are fiery darts. If you think that we're not in a spiritual battle, if you think that everything is just cause and effect and you're just a cosmic accident that happened because, some lightning struck a rock and created an amoeba and created the chimpanzee, and now here you are, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. And if you think everything's an accident, then you'll never fight for anything. If you think you're a cosmic accident, then you'll do nothing but just consume things like an animal, because that's what you believed you are. And a lot of people are just walking organic beings, eating and consuming and using anywhere and any way they go. And if that has happened to you, which happens to all too many, maybe this video will be the first aha moment. Like, what have I been doing? I am better than this. See, that's the biggest thing is, I'll give you another example. I know people that were on a path of life, okay? They went to school, got a career, got a degree to do a job because it was one of the top 10 things they were told you had to do, and everybody did it, and that's what you did, okay? Never mind if it was a passion of theirs. Never mind if they cared about it or not. They suppressed all those feelings. They just had to do it because that's how you make it. That's how you survive. That's how you make money. So it's very, very carnal at best in the thinking. So you're like a walking dead person, unfulfilled, just doing the task, checking off life boxes like ones you think you have to do. Miserable people, miserable. We have a conversation with them, start talking about what's possible, what we do, in life. And it was, everything from business to spiritual to family to life to everything. It's just talking. And all of a sudden the conversation was this, you could just see they're like, hold on a minute. You mean to tell me that that's out there? See? They had so created a life of quarantining, and there was only one page with certain boxes on it that were the only options they were ever told was available. And when they found out that there's an entirely different world out there where you can actually be fulfilled, pursue your dreams, do what God's called you to do, it almost created a meltdown. It didn't. It caused them to say, hold on a minute, I didn't even know this was a possibility. See, many of you right now are just realizing that you could actually live a different strata of life because you just found out that the life that you are living has just been a self-created list that the world feeds you. Right? How many people don't pursue their dreams at any level because they're told by everybody else, everything else, and all the people that failed at it, that it just doesn't work out. So they just suppress that feeling and they become just a walking dead person. I asked a question during a big training meeting one day. Place is packed. And I said, where is the wealthiest place on earth? I hope in 31 minutes you guys are still in this video. Because of the people that are still on this in 31 minutes, you're the ones that are going to have your lives change. I don't mean to keep pointing that way. You're the ones that are going to keep having your life change. Anyway, I said, where's the wealthiest place in the world? And people, Dubai, and the Sultan of Brunei, right? Brunei, and this one would say, some people say California, and all the hands came up, and Abu Dhabi, and whatever. One guy said the mountain chalets of super elite living in the mountains of Switzerland. I said maybe, but keep going. So we kept on talking, and the list was, lengthy, and I purposely waited and had some people would say it 2 and 3 times the same answers. And I said, no, actually the wealthiest place on the earth is the next time you drive past a cemetery, why don't you pull over and walk between the stones? Read the birth date and the death date. Actually read their names. Those are real people that came and went. And do you know the vast majority of the people under those stones didn't accomplish what God put them on the earth to do? There were songs never written, love never expressed, inventions, creativity. There were heroes that never felt that they could do it. It's David and Goliath. See, life is a Goliath. It comes in its vehement, perverse, foaming at the mouth way, and it says, I defy you, and it just taunts you. And usually it takes somebody like a David to say, no, here you are taunting the people. I killed the lion, I killed the bear, and today I'm going to take your life. And he swings that stone. Remember, what was it, 40 days, I think? He came out every single day and taunted Israel, blaspheming. And that's what the world does. And yes, it was historic. And yes, there's a whole unbelievable study in that. But I'm trying to be super generic here. That is kind of how life happens. These defiant things come up and basically taunt you and say, you'll never make it. And most people cave in. So the armies sat there for 45 days in total terror, including the king and everybody else. And they waited while every single day he came out and taunted the people. And it was every morning. So think about this. If every morning life is presenting itself to you and taunting you, it may not be 45 days, it may be 45 years. So maybe it takes a message, or it takes a message of hope, or maybe it takes an identity of, hold on a minute, who is this? Who is this? Scripture says, who is this uncircumcised Philistine blaspheming the armies of God and speaking against God. Who is this? Who is this? And when you know what Goliath was, that's a whole nother conversation, okay? It wasn't just a tall dude with a sword. And you go, no, that's not what God said. No, I killed the lion, I killed the bear. I've already done it before, I'm going to do it there. And see, victory in life is when you know the voice of the liar. When you know the voice of the liar, you can shut it down. And the Goliath always comes and tries to tell you every day of your life, you're not enough. This is how you feel. It won't work out. This is the pattern. This is what you deserve. After all, well, it's in your blood. Oh, excuse me. Do you have any history in your family of heart disease and cancer and so and so and so and so and yeah. And they give you this analysis, and then they triangulate it and say, this is who you are. This is what you're going to be. This is what's going to happen to you. Fear. And then you agree with it, and then you end up either walking it out or being completely paralyzed in fear, because now they have a leash around your neck based upon these statistics that the world has now been convinced are fact. And they're not fact. And I just want to encourage you guys, if you are waking up every single day and your life is nothing more, hear me, life has become nothing more than just feelings. And that's all it is. And you just kind of are walking around in this zone of feelings. You may have to listen to this video a few times. Watch my other videos on the channel, on my YouTube. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, go over to my YouTube channel. It's just Gabriel Sedlak. Watch these videos. I talk like this a lot, but this one is very specific because the illusion and the smoke and mirrors and the puppet strings and the deception and the emotion that you think is you, but it's not you, it's external stuff that's programmed you, has stolen from you enough. Today is the day it ends. When you realize that everything that seems like it's a reality in your life that is controlled, your capacity to operate, when you see through it and the smoke lifts and you understand the root and you see the deceiver and you see the deception and you see the liar, have grace upon yourself. You'll be able to say, you know what? Why did I, and some of you don't be snared by this one. Why did I allow it to happen this long? What's wrong with me? Don't go there. Just say, thank God I see it. It stops today. It's over today. I don't care if you're worth $100 million plus. I don't care how many houses. I don't care what your title is. I don't care if you have nothing and you have a bicycle that's made from 10 other bicycles and you're in another country watching this. And you have to ride literally 10 miles a day to even do anything. If you believe that that's who you are, if you believe that that's what life is, if you believe that this is all there is to life, that vantage point, I've done massive trainings on vantage point. When you're walking along the grass and you're in the grass, the best you can do is move away another blade of grass just to navigate. You look up, but if you get brave enough to get to the top of one of those blades of grass, you can at least see across the yard. And you go, oh, wow, it was dark down there. I couldn't even see. Now I can see, okay, so there's the sidewalk, there's the house, oh, there's where the water is. And if you can go higher or get up on a tree, if your vantage point can be elevated, suddenly you're looking down like you're almost looking at Google Maps, and you can say, okay, I'm just going to go from here to here, and you can navigate your way and you can get out of your mess because the reality has changed. What you see has changed. Your vantage point has changed. The options on the list that everybody is given is now exchanged for another list. And it causes you to dream. It causes you to believe. And if you've believed lies, and if you've believed the banter, or if you were hurt or violated or experienced some unbelievable point of pain in life that froze you because it so wounded you that you can't even see out of that, 'cause that's all you think and breathe and feel. Put your hands up and say, God, I give it to you. I surrender this. It is not me. I reject it. Take it from me. Extend grace upon yourself. You are magnificent. You are magnificent. And when I say your best days are ahead of you, it's so real because that's what is supposed to happen. That's the possibilities when you exchange lies for the truth. Love yourself enough. Believe in yourself enough. Even if you're taking my faith, even if you don't have faith in yourself, take my faith, take my words, borrow them if you have to until you can believe again. But I would dare say everyone, even the people that are conquering in life, there's always more. We go from glory to glory to glory to glory. There's greater and greater places. There's bigger realms. There's higher vantage points. There's more possibilities. There's more than enough. There's always, your cup always runs over. There's no scarcity or lack or limits. It doesn't exist. It's just based, those arguments only come because you're looking at what's in front of you and you're seeing it as limited. Because of the input, because of the thoughts, which have turned into feelings, which have turned into actions, which have turned into habits, which have turned into a character. And now it seems like it's your destiny. And at any stage, even if you've gone so far that you think you can't go any farther, you can literally stop it. I love the promise. So the scripture says that God takes you from the dunghill and places you amongst princes. That's what he can do. That's what's possible. Love yourself enough. Share this video. Watch it a few times. Allow the truth of it to burrow into your soul. And you wake up every day and you cannot wait to discover what's been opened up to you. Because life, and really living life and having fulfillment to the point where you can't even hardly speak sometimes, is possible. It's a reality. Joy unspeakable. Pleasures forevermore. Awesome wonder. That's the reality. Don't believe the lie and quit feeding the dog that you shouldn't feed. Cut that stuff off. Let 2024 be the year that you literally cut away every feeder that's come into your life that has been feeding the narrative now that you've been living. As soon as you crimp that pipe, stuff starts to dry up immediately. As soon as you cut off the valve and you turn off the spigot, stuff starts to dry out immediately. Change and going from where you are to where you want to be happens so fast, it's dizzying. But it requires cutting off all of those entry points and rediscovering you, and your success, in your life, in your marriage, in your business, as an entrepreneur, any sphere of business or life or career. People will ask you, they won't even recognize you because then it comes off of your face. It comes off of your countenance. The burden lifts off of you. The aging reverses. The light in your eyes reappears. The ashenness that comes upon you goes away, and it's replaced by new life and renewed vitality. and joy that comes from the inside. And people will call you crazy. They won't know how to handle it, and they'll try to pull you back down because they're used to you being who you were. I heard a very advanced story about the crabs in the bucket the other day. You know, we've trained on that. You guys have heard that. You get a crab, you put him in a bucket, he climbs out. Get a crab, put him in the bucket, he climbs out. You put 2 crabs in the bucket, 3 crabs in the bucket, 4 crabs in the bucket. They pull each other down anytime one tries to climb out until they all die. Or they just keep pulling each other down. So I heard it was the analogy from people in fishing that go crabbing. They never worry about their crab buckets. They'll go crabbing. They'll get all the crabs. They'll put them all in these buckets together, and they never worry about, and they leave the buckets open and they continue their day. And when they get to shore and they dump them out, they never worry that they've lost any because they keep pulling each other down until they all stay there. Nobody gets out of the bucket. Let that sink in. Get away from those crabs, guys, so you can live. I will see you on the next video. You are a blessing. Comment below. Let me know if this has been helpful. I can't wait to hear what you've accomplished, what you've overcome, and the root that got exposed. And remember, when the thief is found out, he not only has to repay, but he repays 7-fold. It's a Bible promise. See you in the next video. Bye.